Hearty welcome to all my dear students. I request all my dear students to take the book. Take the page number 59. The name of the chapter is Change and Development in Rural Society. This is session 2 of learning this chapter. I request all my dear students to take the page number 59, paragraph 2. The second paragraph given in the page number 59 focuses on the idea of correspondence between caste and class. There is a almost similarity between caste and class. The first point is that the middle and upper caste have access to land and resources which give them power and privilege. The upper caste and the middle caste, they have access. It means what? They can own the land which give them power and privilege. In most of the regions we know that the wealthy caste, they have ownership of huge amount of land, and so that they can command labor to work for them. Agriculture was the main source of life for the people in the society. So the land owners, it means the upper caste and middle caste, they are calling the lower caste people for working on the land. And there was a beggar or free labor existed until recently many parts of northern India, in which the low ranked caste people had to do labor for a fixed number of days per year to the village zamindars or landlord. There is a discrimination in the society in the past. What was that? There was a free labor. Free labor means what? Social labor without payment. This is called free labor. There was a discrimination where the people who belonged to low caste, it means lower caste people, they had to do free labor, it means labor without payment for a fixed number of days in a year. So there was a discrimination, and they are doing work for zamindar. Zamindar means what? Landlords. Later I will explain the term zamindar or zamindari system was there in the past. When we summarize this paragraph, we can see that the caste, it means the upper caste, and the middle caste, it means the dominant caste, they are having huge area of land utilized for agriculture. That's why I told you that there is a correspondence between class and caste. Class means what? The wealthiest people in the society, because they had their own land and there were workers under them, the workers who were working for them. So the people who had land, they became wealthiest people in the society. So correspondingly we have the caste, the class, they are having land, and there is a correspondence where we can see the caste also. The caste, it means upper caste and middle caste, they also had land and they utilized that for agriculture. That's why I told you that there is a similarity between caste and class on the basis of land ownership. This is all about the second paragraph. Now, in the same paragraph, we can see another important thing, that is bonded labor or hereditary labor. What do you mean by bonded labor or hereditary labor? We know hereditary. Hereditary means what? It is continuing from one generation to another generation. In the same way, the people who are working under the landlords, and the work is passing or passes to other generations also. That's why it is called bonded labor. A family of workers, they are working under the same lord and for many years. Now we can move to the important ideas regarding bonded labor. The first point is that the landless poor caste people, they were tied to landowner aimed at achieving social, economic and political support. This is the first point of bonded labor. It means there are some workers, they were landless people because the lower caste people, they don't have the authority to claim the ownership of the land. They don't have access to land. They were workers, the landless workers, and if they are attached to a landlord, a landowner, it means they are working for their master, the landlord, for generations. So they are getting some help from the landlord politically, economically and socially because they are working for them. The landlord may give some support to them, maybe politically, maybe economically, maybe socially. So for such political, economic, social support, the workers are working for their master. And there are some bonded labor. First one, Halpadi system in Gujarat. In Gujarat, there is a bonded labor. This is called Halpadi system. The Jita system in Karnataka, and still exist though abolished. The bonded labor was abolished, was removed from the society, but still exists in our society. The Bhumihars, they were the dominant caste in a village of Bihar, are land owners. When we summarize this paragraph, we can see there is a correspondence or similarity between caste and class because both are having access to land. Both are wealthy or wealthiest people in a society because they are having their own land. And next one, bonded labor or hereditary labor. The workers, they are working for their master, their landlord for generations. From one generation, it is passing to another generation. So they are getting some support from the master from the landlord. Next one, there are some examples of bonded labor still exist in India. And now we can move to the page number 60, paragraph 1. Page number 60, paragraph 1 concentrates on the topic, what we can say, the impact of land reforms. This is very important. The impact of land reforms. There are some reformations took place with regard to land system. We know that the lower caste people, they didn't have access to land. They were workers forever. There are some changes which happened in our system with regard to the land. And it happened during colonial period. So, during colonial period, there were some reformations. Reformations took place with regard to the land system. This is the page number 60, paragraph 1. Please carefully listen. The first idea is that there is a question why each region is dominated by one or two dominant caste. When we go to regions, there are different regions in India. Each region or each society is dominated by some dominant caste. Why? Why it happened? That is what I wanted to, what we can say, make a resolution for that. First one is that we know that agrarian structure changed in pre-colonial, colonial, post-independence periods. Agrarian structure means what? the land is distributed to upper caste, middle caste, and the lower caste people. They were the landless people. There is a structure in our society on the basis of distribution of land. It means upper class they have land, middle class they also have land, and lower class people they are landless people. So before colonialism a different structure was there. During colonialism another structure emerged, and after colonialism a different another structure emerged with regard to agrarian structure. This is very important. First one, and now we are going to see the agrarian structure during colonialism, because there were some land reforms passed by the colonial government, that is the British government. The first one is that, and during pre-colonial period, before colonialism, there were no direct owners of the land. So the time before colonialism, much discrimination was not there, because even upper class, even middle class, they did not have direct access to the land. First point. And lands were controlled by the ruling groups. It means local kings. The local kings, they controlled land. Neither upper class nor the middle class, they did not control. The local kings controlled the land. It means, or zamindar. Zamindar means what? Landlords. The zamindars, they controlled the land. Zamindar means what? The landlord, and they are what we can say giving land for rent on lease, and they were controlling the land. Before colonialism, the zamindars were controlling the land, and because they were politically powerful, belonged to Kshatriya and other dominant caste. So the dominant caste, especially the zamindars, they controlled land before colonialism. And the peasants or the cultivators worked on the land and had to give substantial portion of produce to them. It means the cultivators, they were working on the land, but they have to give a substantial, it means a lot of produce to the zamindars. Zamindars were not working, the cultivators were working on the land rented by zamindars to the cultivators. The cultivators are working and they had to give majority of portion, a good amount of portion, it means what? The products to the zamindars. During colonialism, it happened before colonialism. Before colonialism, there was zamindari system, means what? The zamindars were taking rent from the majority percentage of rent from the cultivators. Cultivators are getting little. But during colonialism, what happened? See, zamindars ruled local areas and they were given property right, what we can say, by the British, and they had controlled the land before the British. It means what? What is the meaning? During colonialism, more authority was given to zamindars to control the land. Before colonialism, this much authority or power was not given to zamindar, but during colonialism, more authority or power was given to the zamindar. So they started to rule the society, which was given by the British, and the British imposed heavy tax on agriculture. Zamindars were the intermediaries between the government and the cultivators. the government is what we can say imposing tax on agricultural products. So this is affecting the cultivators. In which way? So the zamindars exploited the cultivators and had to hand over more produce to the zamindars. So zamindars are the mediators between the government and cultivator. If the government is imposing more tax on agricultural product, it means the zamindar will exploit the cultivators, because the cultivators have to give more rent to zamindars. Zamindars will give the tax to the government. That's why I told you that zamindars were the mediators between government and the cultivators. So zamindar told the cultivators to give more substantial amount of rent to them, to zamindars. In this way, the cultivators were exploited, and so importance of agriculture declined as the cultivators they left the oppressive landlords. Famines and wars took the life of many people. So the cultivators they left agriculture, because from agriculture they were not getting anything. Because of that, they left agriculture. When the cultivators left agriculture, it means they did not have any source of life. So poverty started, famines, lack of food, scarcity of food started during colonialism, and the wars also took place. It took the life of many people. Now we can move to the paragraph 2 given in the page number 60, which concentrates on the main point, Roy-Wari system. Zamindari system, I told you, the zamindars, they were the mediators between government, British government and cultivators. Cultivators have to give rent to zamindar. Zamindars will give the tax to government. In such a way, the zamindari system was powerful during colonialism, but when the agriculture declined, there was some ways the zamindari system was affected, because there were no workers. Now we can move to the next Roy-Wari system, which is given in the page number what we can say 60, paragraph 2. Many districts in India were administered by zamindars. I already told you that during colonialism, many districts in India were controlled by zamindars. The rest, and there are many other districts which were controlled through Roy-Wari system. Roy means what? R-Y-O-T. The meaning of the term R-Y-O-T means what? The cultivator, the peasant cultivator. Roy-Wari system. And the British, during the British rule, we know that there was some land settlement happened, where the cultivators, it means the Roy, R-Y-O-T, the Roy, the peasant cultivators, and they were not zamindars, they were not tenants, the peasant cultivators, and they are having a right to hold land for cultivating. The people, it means the cultivators, it means during colonialism, another system emerged, that is Roy-Wari system. Some districts were controlled by the zamindari system. Other districts were what we can manage through the Roy-Wari system, where the Roy means what? The peasant cultivator. That is the meaning of Roy. And they, what we can say, they are not zamindars. They are just peasant cultivators, and they were given what we can say right to hold land for cultivating. Zamindars were not there between the government and the cultivators. The intermediate, it means what? The mediation is not there. There were no mediators, there were no mediators between the government and the cultivators in Rohit Wari system. Were responsible for paying the tax. So the government dealt directly with the tenants or farmers or landlords rather than through overlords. So taxation was less, tenants or cultivators had more relaxations, and they invested their finance in agriculture. The area became productive and prosperous. Rohit Wari system was successful during colonialism. Why? Because we know that Zamindari system was not so successful. I told you that because the cultivators were exploited, the cultivators were affected very much. Because of that, the Zamindari system was not so effective during colonialism, even though government earned more money from that. But in a Rohit Wari system, there were no zamindars between the government and the tenants or the cultivators, because the government was taking the tax directly from the tenants. So there was relaxation for the cultivators or tenants, and they were given right to hold the land. This right was given by the British government to the cultivators. So the cultivators started to cultivate, and they were given much amount of money because the intermediaries were not there. The zamindars were not there, so they were not exploited. The cultivators gave some portion of the produce or tax to the government. So much relaxation for much exploitation was not there. So they invested money on what we can say agriculture. The area became productive and prosperous. Rohit Wari system was very effective during that time. Now we can move to the paragraph third one. The above explained two systems we explained, and these are the land revenue system or land revenue administration during colonial time, and there were some changes happened and in the current agrarian structure. When we compare the present agrarian structure with that of the past, we can see some changes. There were some land revenue administration, in which way the government administrated, in which way the government ruled during that time, through the zamindari system and through Rohit Wari system. Both are different. And zamindars, we know that they were landlords and they are giving land to on rent. And Rohit means what? They were peasant cultivators or tenants, we can say. And because tenants are occupying land from the government and renting, or tenants are getting the land from the landlords on rent. And one more thing is that the what we can say Rohit means what? The peasant, and they were what we can say holding the land given by the landlords, and so that the zamindari system was not there. Rohit system, that system was more effective during colonialism. Now we can see the page number 60, Independent India, paragraph last paragraph in the page number 60. We know that this paragraph concentrates on some of the policies given by Nehru government after independence. After independence, we can see Nehru along with his policy advisors, and there are some policy advisors for Nehru, and they planned program for revolutionizing the dismal agricultural what we can say situation during colonialism. Because of zamindari system, the agricultural system was what we can say not so effective for the cultivators, the Indians, the Indian workers. For the Indian workers, it was not so effective because they were exploited, they were discriminated. So soon after the India's independence, Nehru government, they wanted to make some revolution in the field of the what we can say agriculture, because they wanted to awaken, they wanted to give new energy to agriculture and industrialization due to the low productivity. During colonialism, agricultural what we can say system was less productive because of zamindari system. Many cultivators left agriculture, it affected the productivity, it caused scarcity of food. So Nehru government wanted to give a new energy, new vigor, new zeal to agricultural land, agricultural process, so that during that time, even after independence, there was a dependence on imported food. If we have land in India, still we were depending on other countries for food grains, and intense poverty at large section of rural population. Poverty was there in rural population. Reformation to be needed in agrarian structure, land holding system, distribution of land, series of land reforms, laws were passed from 1950 to 1970s. It means there were some changes which should happen in agrarian structure, because only the upper class or middle class, they were given land. The lower class people, they were landless people. So there should be some changes in land distribution, and there were some changes in what we can say the land holding system, and so that some of the land reform laws were passed from 1950s to 70s. Now we can move to the page number 61. First paragraph, very important, the abolition of zamindari system. The abolition of zamindari system. We know that zamindars, they were the top player of agrarian structure. Question can be asked, who is the top player of agrarian structure during colonialism? We can say zamindars. And soon after independence, there was abolition of zamindari system because it was not effective for the cultivators to progress. So that the abolition of zamindari system was the first law, first legislation aimed at removing the layer of intermediaries between the cultivators and the state. This is an important decision taken by the Nehru government. What was that? The intermediators. It means the zamindars should be removed so that there will be direct connection between the state and cultivators. The zamindari system was exploitative, so that it should be removed, and undermining the power superiority on land, because we know that zamindars, they were given during colonialism extreme power. They were powerful, they controlled the land, and they had been given political economic power aimed at strengthening the position of actual landholders and cultivators. And we know that here an important change happened in society with regard to land system. Zamindars were removed, so there will be relaxation for the cultivators. The cultivators will be directly dealing with the government. The land owners also will be relaxed. And it happened, but the landlordism or tenancy, sharecropping means what? A farmer or a tenant who rents land and gives part of his crop as rent, and these were the system continuing even after independence. Zamindari system was removed, but landlordism, it means what? The distribution of land. The land can be owned by only few people. They were landlords. The lower caste people, they were not given land. The land was given to the landlords, and tenancy system was not removed. Tenancy means what? The temporary, they were given right to occupy land temporarily. It means they were the people who were given the land from the landlords, and they are giving rent to the landlords. Tenancy and sharecropping was also existing even after independence. Sharecropping means what? A farmer who occupies a land for rent, and they are giving a portion of produce to the landowner. Now we can move to the paragraph 2 of page number 61. The paragraph 2, the main important topic is other land reforms. First one is that the tenancy abolition. The government tried to abolish the tenant system and the regulation acts. These are the other important changes happened in the society. Now we can move to that. There were some effort to outlaw tenancy or put a regulation on rent to give some security to the tenants. I told you that tenants are the people, they are taking the land from the landlord or landowners, and the tenants are giving rent to the landlords. So the government wanted to remove this tenancy system, but it was not effective. It means the government could not remove the tenancy system. Instead of that, the government wanted to give more security to tenants, because the tenants had to give much portion of produce to the landlords. Because of that, the life of tenants were not so what we can say fruitful. It means they were living very discriminated life. And next one is that almost all states, it means West Bengal, Kerala, there were some radical restructuring of agrarian structure, giving land right to the tenants. There are some states like West Bengal and Kerala, their tenancy system strengthened. Tenancy system strengthened because in these states, the tenants were given land rights. They can occupy land on rent, and they have to give a portion of the produce the land owners. These are the important things for today's session 2 of learning the chapter Change and Development in Rural Society. And in page number 59 there is a box 4.1. This is very important. The summary is that there is a correspondence between agricultural productivity and agrarian structure. In areas of irrigation, it means what? The summary is that there are some areas where irrigation facility was there, more facilities were there. Because of such facilities, the production became more, the production was more, so that the area became a prosperous area because of irrigation facility, because of good climate. So there is a correspondence between agricultural productivity and agrarian structure. If the productivity is good, agrarian structure will be strengthened. This is the meaning of box 4.1. If you have any doubts, I will I'm ready to clear. You can message me, and so read the chapter and understand things. If you are having any doubt, I am there to clear the doubts. God bless you. Thank you.